Hi, I'm Daniel with Fun Robotics Network, and I'm here with Team 30030 Exodus here at the Central Texas Regional, being the first place winning alliance captain, finishing off #1 auto in the world, top 25 in the world, having a great day so far here at the Central Texas Regional. Learned about their 2 robots and their very interesting season here on Behind the Bot. So Exodus, jumping into y'all's V1 of y'all's robot, I want to hear a quick overview so I can talk about what y'all improved on and how y'all have improved so much throughout the season to be top 25 in the world, #1 auto OPR, and being able to have such a solid season so far. So can y'all tell me about y'all's V1 and just overview how y'all approach the season, going for a volume-based robot here on y'all's V1, and just tell me about that.
All right. So yeah, thank you. The V1 is kind of like a simpler bot. It's a testing rig. It uses a tank drive. Abhi, can you help me pull it up?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, as you can see, it uses a 6-wheel drive with mechanism wheels on the side. And we decided this because mechanism wheels actually have a better vector direction for turning on a tank drive. So this robot overall, down please. Yeah. This robot overall was a testing rig of the things that we prioritized during the season. Initially, in our overview, we thought that defense would be a big problem, which is why we use a tank drive. We thought that intaking would be intaking was going to be the thing that separates teams from others. So we wanted to have a wide intake and a fast shooter. So over here, you can see we were interested in using this mechanism for wiring our turret, which uses a spring and pulley based system. This proved to be kind of inefficient during our matches because it provided a counterforce to the actual rotation of the turret, and it kind of created oscillations. You can see improvements on that later in the V2. But essentially, it's a wood bot. It was easy to switch things around, and it was able to be a good testing rig for us in the start of our season.
Yeah, so you'll see for our wiring mechanism, we just have 2 constant force springs at the back, which basically tug on this, which has a spool on the inside, and then that spool lets the wiring get fed through from the bottom over here by the control hubs. And so as our turret goes out, you'll see on the rail, the carriage will go past, and the constant force springs will keep the wiring in tension. You'll also note that on our intake, we just use a surgical tubing intake, which is from inner panel to inner panel, and then we just had wedges on the side. We later switched to full width intake so we could do side spike, but this is what we stuck with initially. And then you'll see at the back, we have our intake motors, which belt through the robot and are guided with idlers back up to the front. So you'll see that this belt right here is coming from the back of the robot, and then that's belted to here, which has a TPU wrapped with tape, and then to the final stage, which is silicone. For our transfer, we just have a motor at the back as well. So you'll see that one motor right there, and then that's geared through to, if you want to go through the top, you can see there's surgical tubing and gecko wheels that spin the balls up. And then we have our flywheel, which on the V1 was not optimized for MOI, but we just did simple rev bear motors with ECG5, and then we just had aluminum flywheel weights on the inside with bearings right here to support the hood, and then servos here to change the pitch.
Before we get to our next segment, we'd like to thank the following. DECODE Robotics is inspiring teams to build better robots with their new array of FTC team options. Check out their updated bevel gears and Maverick hex shaft motors, Planetary gearbox options, and 6mm hex components and shafts for extreme power transmission. Go to studecode.com/robots to learn more and apply for discounts. It isn't too late to order competition apparel for your team at FRC Tees. Founded by First alumni and offering a free 14-day turnaround with expedited options available, go to frctees.com to see why hundreds of teams are making FRC Tees their first choice for their apparel needs. That's frctees.com.
Yeah, that's great. And going a little bit into y'all's V1, it seems like on both y'all's robots, y'all actually went for a volume-based robot for y'all's game strategy. Can y'all tell me about, I see that y'all have a semi-indexer in y'all's V2, but can you tell me what was a thought process behind y'all's strategy and how y'all approached going for a volume-based robot rather than an indexer or anything of the sort?
So going for a volume-based robot, there's a couple things that you want to make sure you're able to do. The first one obviously is intake 3 without incurring penalties. So do that, intake as many as fast as possible. And then also be able to do instant shots. So that means optimizing your flywheel and also making sure that you're able to do shots as fast as possible.
Yeah, that's great. And jumping into y'all's V2, it seems like y'all have had a very successful V2 here. I'm wondering if you just first jump into y'all's intake. It seems like y'all, a lot of teams have a lot of different materials here on their intakes. It seems like y'all just went very, very standard and very simple mechanism and silicone rollers. Did y'all play with any other materials or anything else in y'all's intake throughout the season, or is that just something that y'all had one and done and it was good?
So initially we had surgical tubing like this throughout the whole intake. And then on this spot, we ended up switching to silicone, which then led us to this. And what we did test was the durometer. So this actually used to be the same as this, which is 30A. Now it's 15A, because what we're able to do is we're able to keep the intake motors connected without stalling inside the intake.
Yeah, that's great. And I want to go a little bit more into y'all's transferring y'all shooter. It seems like y'all are extremely versatile around the field. Y'all have some of the best far shots I've seen throughout the decode. And y'all are able to, or not just that, y'all's close shots are also extremely versatile, being able to shoot from virtually anywhere. Y'all tell me if that's something that was just a combination of both software and hardware, or something that you solely dedicated to that. Can you just tell me about that?
Yeah, so first with our transfer, for this robot, we wanted to make sure that we could have a 2-motor intake to make our intake as fast as possible. So we had to go for a non-motor transfer blocker. What we did is we used a regular wheel from our intake. It's just belted over to transfer the balls, and we use this here. It's a stopper on an over-center linkage to block the balls. And the over-center linkage is able to go in and open it up, allowing balls to shoot out the top. So moving into that, for shooter consistency, one of the big things we did is just hyper tuning up our PID and PID-F controls for that. So we found that PID-F was really important for control all over our robot this season. And what the F constant is feed forward. That accounts for all forms of friction, the acceleration, the constant friction. We had to differentiate between static and kinetic, and that allowed us to get good control over both our turret and our shooter, allowing for precision. Also, we found that when we were shooting, our flywheel would lose velocity, causing shots to come up short. So what we did with that is we collected 18 data points from our shooter here, and that allowed us to create a linear regression, which we use in our software to predict the loss in velocity and ramp up our shooter to correct for that.
Yeah, that's great. And going into more, it seems like y'all have, I want to talk about y'all's adjustable hood and all the weight and the inertia. It seems like y'all have put a lot of weight here on y'all shooter. Can y'all talk about, is that something, obviously y'all have improved throughout the season much more. Y'all have some of the, like I said, the best fars that I've seen throughout Decode. Y'all tell me what, like, you talk about your linear regression. Can you talk about what you use on your hood? Can you talk about how y'all been able to work throughout these, I guess, play with the weights throughout the season? Can you just tell me about that?
Yeah, sure. So hardware-wise, originally on this robot, we actually wanted to try out a counter roller because we saw reducing backspin would be very important to limit bounce outs. And you can see the holes for that here. But we found that with the counter roller, there was more variation in how far shots would go. So we ultimately switched off that and instead opted to develop an ultra smooth hood. So for our hood here, we printed a sheet on the smooth side of a print bed, and then we screwed it onto the back plate of our hood. And on top of using some sandpaper to really polish it down, we were able to get this extra smooth to reduce backspin. Then for a moment of inertia, we found that to get far shots quick, we had to add a lot of weights here so that they wouldn't drop off too much and so that our PID was able to correct properly.
Yeah, that's great. And going to y'all's turn, actually, it seems like y'all have a very, very large degree of rotation in y'all's turn. Is that something that y'all just improved on from y'all's V1? Or is that something that y'all found that it was just not as good as in your V2 and that y'all improved on there? Or just tell me about what went into that.
Yeah, sure. So V1, we found that our wiring solution had a lot of inconsistent friction and it made our PID inaccurate and slow. So we wanted to go for some sort of system that required no form of springs. And we also wanted to increase the range if we could, because we found that sometimes our turret would have to flip around to the other side during matches. So for this, we developed a cable chain mechanism, which is able to loop around throughout. And by changing the spot where it loops around, is able to just pivot around, giving us a full 643 degrees of rotation on this. So our turret is able to start here, and it's able to loop almost to 2 full rotations. And with this, we initially tried it without this guide here in the middle, but we found there could occasionally be jams from that, so we had to add the guide for consistency.
Yeah, and speaking of consistency, y'all have one of the most consistent throw ball I've seen throughout Decode, having a 24 ball autonomous that is hitting consistently well over 20 balls in almost every single one of y'all's matches. Can you tell me about the sensor work and the fail safes that you've implemented throughout the season, and just tell me all about that?
Yeah, sure. Starting off with intake sensors, we have numerous brake beams throughout. You can see we have our brake beams all in pairs here at the intake. We have 1, 2, 3 pairs right there, then another pair there. And we use all of those to detect the artifacts in our robot that we're able to optimize our auto and instantly leave once we detect we have 3 balls. And we put these in pairs so that the brake beams could never line up with the holes in the ball and not detect it. Then in addition, for our partial sort, we had to add in color sensors that we could detect ball color. And for this, we use our brake beams to optimize color sensor reads. We found reading color sensor every single loop would be very slow for us. So instead, we use the brake beams to detect when a ball first gets there, and then we only do 1 read. Then moving into that, we also have, for tracking our localization, we use a limelight plus pinpoint odometry, and we combine that with a Kalman filter to get more precise pose estimates. We found we ended up weighting the pinpoint far heavier, as the limelight was somewhat inaccurate from far zone, but the limelight still helps balance it out.
Yeah, and one of the biggest changes it seems like that y'all made from y'all's V1 to y'all's V2 here is y'all's drivetrain. As y'all pointed out earlier, had a 6-wheel drivetrain that was a very interesting design choice, and it seemed like y'all were basically invincible against defense in y'all's leagues. Y'all tell me what made y'all go to that change, if that was something to make y'all's pathing smoother or just something of the sort.
Yeah, sure. So there's 2 main things with that. One, we found that not having the ability to strafe inhibited us during auto to a certain extent, and also during tele, as there would sometimes be balls we wanted to grab and it would be much more clunky to maneuver over there with tank. And then also we found that while there was some amount of contact in defense, it wasn't as crucial to the game as we thought, so we opted to instead go with Mechnum.
Yeah, and speaking more on defense, it seems like y'all are, even still with y'all's robot, very, very, very good against defense within y'all's matches. Can y'all tell me if that's something that y'all have just found maybe a perfect ratio within y'all's drivetrain to have both good speed and torque on y'all's drivetrain, or is that something that is just solely driver based or something in y'all's software, anything of the sort?
Yeah, sure. So I think us being somewhat good against defense partially comes from us being a heavy bot. We're able to have some good traction from the weight of our robot, and we're able to have momentum when going into zones. But we've also found one big thing for far zone playing against defense, we found that aligning the wall of our robot against the wall of the field perimeter helps us prevent our robot from being rotated, which severely limits what the other team can do to us when playing defense.
Yeah, and earlier you mentioned a partial sort on y'all's robot. It seems like y'all have a very just simple ramp up design straight into y'all's shooter. Can y'all tell me how y'all are able to do that partial sort, and just tell me about that?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to explain that?
Sure. Okay, so basically on the partial sort, what we have is 2 paddles at the front. And so our intake is basically set in a triangle structure, right? So normally we'll have a ball up here, a ball right here, and a ball right here. Now, before having the sort, we just had a normal ramp, which would let the balls go up, and it was a volume bot. But we knew that we needed the sort for the RPs, that way we could get Captain 1. And what we did was we have over center linkages attached to servos at the bottom. And you can see, and then basically what we do is we can change which one of the 2 balls at the front goes up. So we can sort 6 out of 9 because we can't control the ball at the back, but by changing our drive paths during auto, we can make sure that we get the full sort.
Yeah, that's great. And is that something that y'all had, just knew that y'all wanted from y'all's V2, the partial sort idea, or is there anything else that y'all played with to have any sorting ideas or prototype throughout the season?
Yeah, so initially we prototyped a spindexer. You'll notice at the back of our bot, there's a lot of open space. This bot, the panels included, are actually meant for a spindexer. What we did was we kind of jerry-rigged a ramp that just attaches to already existing screw holes. And so you'll see we have a lot of space back here. The main problem with the spindexer was overpossession. So the balls would kind of follow a 3D spline. So they would come through the back, and then they would come up and then come around. The problem with this is our robot was able to hold like 7 balls. And so we weren't really able to actually play the game without worrying about getting penalties. We stumbled upon like the ramp prototype, which could let us do side spike, and it ended up being really effective.
So essentially, during the season, kind of with our V1, you can see that we opted to hold balls in a triangle. We noticed that this was good because you could intake balls faster as in a triangle than in a row. Because if you're trying to intake 3 balls from a row like this, then it's really hard to vector them. my bad. It's really hard to vector them consistently into a straight line from this position, but it's more easier to like kind of make it into a triangle.
Yeah, so basically what this lets us do is that not only does it let us get side spike, but it also keeps us so that we don't have to worry about possession issues. A fourth ball can't really get in here without us like really ramming into it. And so at the top, to make sure that the balls stay in, we have another servo attached to the ramp. If you want to look under at the back, you can see a Gobildo servo which also has an over center linkage, which pushes out a flap, which will let the balls stay in place and not go out the top. And the reason that we use the 15A silicone on our intake is that the balls, we can use these flaps without stalling the intake severely.
Yeah, and I want to go a little bit more into y'all's robot. It seems like you said you have a very heavy robot and you have a lot of moving mechanisms, a lot of servos, a lot of motors on y'all's robot. Can y'all tell me if y'all use any type of voltage compensation and how y'all are able to get through all y'all's matches so consistently without it doesn't seem any efficiency drop through all y'all's matches?
Yeah, sure. So voltage compensation wise, we do have some amount of voltage compensation. We take our starting voltage and divide it by the current voltage, and then we multiply our motor power by that to compensate for voltage loss, which we found isn't a perfect compensation, but it's fairly close to good. And then the other portion of that is just made up by the like P, I, and D terms of our PID controller. So if anything is off, the P and I term do a great job at correcting up for the missing power.
Yeah, and going into more into y'all's autonomous, I want to talk about y'all's trajectory sequencer. What type of trajectory sequencer do y'all use? Maybe Roadrunner, petropathing, or something of y'all's own sort? It seems like y'all have a super fast autonomous and y'all are able to do maneuvers that I haven't really been able to see through a lot of robots in Decode. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so we just use a Roadrunner implementation for all of our passing, and we found that by just tuning up Roadrunner well, we were able to do a good bit with the passing. And one unique thing we do is for our far zone auto, we generate several of those paths live, so that when we grab balls in our far zone auto, we will instantly cancel our current pass and generate a new pass from our current robot position to our shooting position, which allows us to make it just slightly faster.
Yeah, and one last thing I want to ask about, and this is more of a personal thing, y'all's wiring is very, very clean on both robots. Can y'all tell me if that is something that y'all just dedicate, or is that just something that happened?
Yeah, we think that DCs are one of the worst ways to lose a game, so we wanted to really take our time and do a good job with our wiring so that would never be on the table. So with a lot of our wires, especially for servo and like digital and I2C wires, we actually custom crimped the connections to make them 2 links, and that meant that we wouldn't have as much like excess wire to bundle up. And then another thing we did is for all of our main power wires, we use these connectors called Wagos, which allowed us to just make custom links XT30 connectors.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Exodus. Y'all have had an amazing day so far, an amazing season overall. Being able to become the Wing Alliance at the Central Texas Regional is just, it seems like y'all have had an amazing season, an amazing robot overall. I'm Daniel with Robotics Network, and this has been Team 30030 Exodus on Behind the Bot.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to stay up to date on future fun videos. It isn't too late to order competition apparel for your team at FRC Tees. Founded by First Alumni and offering a free 14-day turnaround with expedited options available, go to frctees.com to see why hundreds of teams are making FRC Tees their first choice for their apparel needs. That's frctees.com. Studica Robotics is inspiring teams to build better robots with their new array of FTC team options. Check out their updated bevel gears and Maverick hex shaft motors, Planetary gearbox options, and 6mm hex components and shafts for extreme power transmission. Go to studica.com/robots to learn more and apply for discounts.